26 April 1986. This is when the Chernobyl disaster happened. The next day, almost 50,000 people living in Pripyat were evacuated. They were told to take only the most important belongings, because they will only be gone for 3 days. Little did they know, they would never come back. Pripyat is now a ghost town. So we're really close to the power plant, and here used to be the so-called red forest. All this forest turned red because of the radiation, and they cut all the trees and they buried them in the ground somewhere in this direction, like 1.5 kilometers away, like 1 mile away. So all these trees you see here, they are just new trees who grew up afterwards, but still the levels of radioactivity are pretty high. For example, here on the street 038, but if you get off the beaten track, off this path, the readings are getting really high. So I'm going to go a bit away, like just 5 or 10 meters away, just to show you. Look at this radiation sign. 414. This here is the so-called Bridge of Death, made famous by the HBO series. People from Pripyat came here just to observe the fire. In the movie, they all die in the next days or weeks from the high doses of radiation, while, well, in reality, it's just a myth. But I have to admit it was quite a strong scene in the HBO series. Kind of reminded me of the Untitled One music video from the Sigur Rós, in which these kids play with the ashes in this apocalyptic world as if it were snow. Yeah, totally recommend it, check it out. This is the old Pripyat. Here used to be a furniture store, an old telephone there. There in front you can see another big building with the Soviet symbols, hammer and sickle there, some animal prints. Hotel Policia. A wild dog. All the cultural events took place here. Here used to be a big square. Old supermarket here in Pripyat. Look at this. You can still see some shopping carts. They were selling all sorts of things here. And now it's slowly decaying. You see all the rust here. Probably in some years, 1 decade or two, this will not be a stable building anymore. It's gonna collapse at some point. But it's interesting to see. People were living here, were coming here to the supermarket to shop. They were buying all their groceries, going back to their families, or coming here to the restaurant called restaurant. Booking trips to Pripyat, staying at this hotel, or living in one of these buildings. And here we have some of the most iconic sites of Pripyat. The old amusement park. Wow, my Geiger went crazy for a moment there. I don't know where. Yeah, the bumper cars under the snow. All rusty. What looks now like a little forest used to be part of the town center. Here there were plenty of buildings, concrete, streets. But yeah, nature took advantage of the fact that the population was gone after 86, so grew back. It's a clear example of how nature can develop even under huge radiation levels if people are not around. Look at these marks. I wonder what kind of animal left these. They are so far apart and so long. Man. 26 April 1986. This is when the Chernobyl disaster happened. The next day, almost 50,000 people living in Pripyat were evacuated. They were told to take only the most important belongings because they will only be gone for 3 days. Little did they know they would never come back. Pripyat is now a ghost town. And this amusement park is especially sad because it was supposed to have the official opening, the grand opening, on 1st of May that year for the International Labour Day. But the accident of Chernobyl reactor number 4 happened 4 or 5 days prior to the grand opening. So basically all these bumper cars, merry-go-round, and this Ferris wheel were never used. I mean, technically they were used for testing, but they were never used by the people of Pripyat and all the kids here. It's really sad. Can you imagine how this town looked like 35 years ago or longer? Kids running around, people minding, their everyday life, going to the restaurant, going for a concert, or simply going to work at the nuclear plant, not knowing this would be such a dangerous job. Yeah, the bumper cars. And look, all this space. It's an extremely powerful experience to join a tour and to visit these places. Of course, a lot of people say it's not ethical to do it and had become like a Ukrainian Disneyland. But in the end, I think it's worth coming here. you know, it's a piece of history, and it's sad what happened, but we have to accept it. And it's really interesting to learn more about it. And if you plan a tour here, it's maybe better to come in winter. Okay, it's cold, it's about -15 now, but it's beautiful, it's not packed, there are hardly any people around. It's an experience. Nowadays it's not allowed to enter these buildings because there's a huge risk of them collapsing, so it's better to stick to these rules. But you can see a lot from the outside, and this you know, special vibe, the feeling the place has. An old Soviet car. We are here close to the Duga radar, and you can visit it nowadays. Until recently it was not allowed, but now you can come here and check it out. This fellow is Tarzan. It's a really cute dog. I have something for him. He's gonna get it later. About 200 meters this way, there's Chernobyl 2, which was a hidden Chernobyl base. Not so many people knew about. And this is the big radar. I don't know if you can see it through the trees, but we're gonna get closer. Well, we had 3 such radars in the Soviet Union back then, but they were not so efficient, and they realized this close to the end of the 80s, so they became obsolete. But they were used for many years trying to detect missiles coming from the United States. Well, it's a pretty risky thing to do, considering the radars were not really so good. You can imagine a false reading would lead to a serious disaster like World War III. An old Soviet street sign, getting a bit rusty now. Look at this thing. Oh, this is madness. Look how big this thing is. Can you imagine? A couple of decades ago, all these places were secret. There were only important military personnel here. And now we can explore. I wonder if we can get, if we can go inside here. Probably not. Look at this. Someone standing here. He could enter. I don't know what this was, but it does look interesting, certainly. way. Yeah, you don't see such constructions every day. I think it's amazing that they offer you the possibility nowadays to visit them. I know it looks like just some abandoned buildings, but it's a piece of history. You know that there are actually people here at the military base of Chernobyl too, hidden behind these trees here. Not many people knew about this radar. The Soviets were just lying to people that it's just some telecommunication thing. Otherwise they constructed, oh look at this, looks like a wolf. Good old Tarzan, acting old wolfy here. Look at this massive thing. Sunset at Duga radar. I think it's time to go back to the entrance and feed some sausages to our friend Tarzan here. Hi, beauty. Thank you. There's a radiation checkpoint when you exit the 10-kilometer exclusion zone, and another one when you leave the 30-kilometer one. If there's something radioactive on you, these detectors will feel it, otherwise you're free to go. And this is the end of my Chernobyl exclusion zone / Pripyat adventure. Check some more Ukrainian videos on my channel, or yeah, other videos. See ya. Okay, that's the radiation test. I'm free to leave the exclusion zone. Some radioactive dogs are suddenly aggressive. Hi, beauty. Hi, you. Look how pretty you are. What? You wanna come for more?